Hello, hello. This is Kenya Rahmaan, author and founder of the Child Support Hustle. It looks like I have a little delay. I'm not sure. I might have to start over. Damn it. I'm going to keep talking and see. It looks like my delay is off. It looks like it's okay now. I'm gonna have to go back and edit, but I don't like doing that either. So if you're seeing this, then it means I'm going ahead with it. So welcome to my live. As you can see, I'm gonna talk about why people don't understand that this child support system is a fraud and that it's a trap. It's the trap, if you will. And it has been since the day of its inception. And it's funny that with this live, I've been preparing it for a couple of days, and just here recently we had a few celebrities come into the media about child support. You got 50 Cent, the famous rapper, actor, and his son saying that the nearly $7,000 a month is not enough. And then you have Kanye West talking about men's voices matter and his co-parenting relationship with his soon-to-be ex-wife, I'm thinking, Kim Kardashian. So and Eddie Murphy today, there was an article saying that his child support with one of the ex-Spice Girls, I don't know if it's ex, but his child support went from $25,000 to $35,000. She filed for a modification for an increase. So, like, these topics, child support and the increases and things like that, have been hot and heavy. Of course, these are celebrity cases, so that's a little bit different than what I have been talking about, and that's the Title 4D welfare cases. And the reason why they're so different is because the Title 4D, with it being a welfare case or welfare cases, these are primarily government cases where the child support debt is going back to the government. So they're way different than you would a private case, or what these cases are with the celebrity cases. So the government really doesn't have anything to do with these. What is that? So I'm gonna start off because this is what I was going to talk about in the beginning, and it's all relevant. So there's a Facebook group, or I think they're everywhere, but people have been sending me their content, different things over the years. I don't think they're really that old of a group, but for the last maybe a couple years, and I never addressed them or posted anything that they've put out because, in my opinion, was just a group that were just bashing their children's fathers, deadbeat this and deadbeat that. But what I have seen is, like, this post, I'm not going to say their names, but this post that they had talked about child support debt. And that's what I want to talk about, is that debt, because it's very misleading. And, well, I'm just going to get into it. So to begin, the U.S. child support program is a multi-billion-dollar, some estimate at least $1 trillion industry. And that's something that they don't talk about, is how much money goes into this system. Besides the money that the local governments, attorneys, jails, private companies, banks, and other beneficiaries who are not the children, besides all that money that's funneling through from this child support system, according to the Office of Child Support Enforcement, I'm calling the feds here and there. When I say the feds, that's what I'm talking about. And during the fiscal year 2021, the child support program collected $32.7 billion by the end. 66% of the child support was collected from income withholding from employee paychecks. For every $1 that was spent on this program, $5.27 was brought back in. That was nationally, that was the average. Some states collected double digits for that $1. And child support, that program ranked third in caseload comparisons by serving 13.2 million children, which was only surpassed by the SNAP program at 15.9 million and Medicaid at 35.2 million. So I don't know about y'all, but that sounds like a pretty good collection rate for the child support program. So this group, they put out the meme and is claiming that they're spreading awareness about, quote, the silent crisis of unpaid child support, end quote, in the United States. And it urges all who receive an invite from their group. I guess they send these invites. I did it too when I first started. You would send an invite. You want the people, your people that you're sending the invitations to come and join your group. And they say that they want the people to accept their invitations because, quote, no politician ever talks about unpaid child support, end quote. And I'm not a politician. I don't play one on TV and I don't pretend to be. But I talk about unpaid child support and the lies that go into this system. And the politicians, they talk about it because that's big money to them. So when comparing collections to arrears, it's easy to see why organizations like this one and several others believe that, believe that the government is ignoring or being less vocal about collecting child support from parents. By the end of 2021, a little over approximately 32 billion was allegedly owed in current child support debt. And you're gonna hear current versus arrears because let me just get into it. Y'all know when I go on to something else, I'll just go and go. I gotta stick to the script. So in contrast, get some water. Excuse me, guys. Thanks for joining me. And thanks for the likes. In contrast, when you look at the arrears allegedly owed during that same time, nearly 115 billion was owed. Now that's an astronomical difference. That's not from me, that's from the feds. I'm gonna get into that, what the feds have said in a recent report. This is October, this is August that they released this report that I'm gonna get into. On the surface, it doesn't appear that politicians in the government care about collecting child support, but when you consider what arrears are in reality, the outrage should be directed to the government for creating an illusion of a fake debt, which they do and they have been doing for, like I said, for years. It's a fake debt. And so when they put that out into the mind of the public, it looks like these parents are neglecting their children to the tune of $100+ billion. So, oh, we got to go after these deadbeats, lock them up, put them in prison, throw away the key. They don't care, but it's not. It's smoke and mirrors. It's smoke and mirrors. First, the arrears amount, according to Elaine Sorensen, and she writes a lot about child support, it represents the child support that remains unpaid. But it's not just unpaid child support. There are a lot of extras that are added into the unpaid child support, and that's why the amount is nearly 4 times the current amount owed. A huge chunk of that money results from interest and late fees. So according to the National Conference of State Legislatures, Illinois, New York, and Oregon, they charge 9% per annum on late child support. Arizona, Arkansas, California, Iowa, Wyoming, 10%. Colorado, Kentucky, and Washington, they charge 12%. So as you can see, when you're late, especially when we're coming off of this COVID pandemic, if we're coming off, some say, I'm not gonna get into all that, but if you're late because you're unemployed or whatever, they're tacking interest on. So of course, it's going to go up. Another issue that people ignore or are unaware of is that arrears are based on retroactive orders. So the Texas AG explains that retroactive debt can be assessed when an order is established to account for the time that support should have been paid but was not. So interestingly, the explanation is from the Texas Handbook for Parents Re-Entering Society from Prison. because yes, they are responsible for current support, arrears, and retroactive support, even during incarceration. Texas charges 6% and lets parents coming home know that, quote, support orders do not automatically stop because of incarceration. If your order was not modified while you were incarcerated, your arrears may have greatly increased, end quote. No shit. If you don't get a modification while you are incarcerated and they keep charging you and you can't pay, of course your child support is going to go up when you get out. We know that. But what is very interesting is, as of 2016, incarceration is not supposed to be considered voluntary unemployment. But states, just like Mississippi, you catching up with Michigan. You know, I know all these child support systems across this country are trash. They violate the Constitution all the time. And Michigan is on my #1 list of the trashiest. Like, Michigan is horrible. But Mississippi is catching up very quickly to that trashiest trash status of child support program systems. So Mississippi has been very slow in implementing that incarceration being considered voluntary unemployment. Everybody is supposed to do it. The child support agencies are supposed to notify both parents when a parent is incarcerated for 180 days or longer, that they can get a downward modification. But I wrote about that and I put the links. I did a video and put the links in the description. So you can go back and check that out. And I also put a post up that I wrote an article about the state auditor who wanted everybody to know that white dads can be deadbeats too. Yeah, too. So check that out. It's really interesting. So another extremely important piece to include when calculating arrears, or when you see someone say that these arrears are $100 and something billion, is you have to consider the Bradley Amendment. And I've spoken about repealing the Bradley Amendment numerous times because it's so important. Again, I'm not going to go in detail. I'll put the link to the video that I go in detail about the Bradley Amendment, but basically this amendment makes it nearly impossible to erase any child support debt retroactively. So I'll give an example. A soldier was a prisoner of war and his child support was accumulating while he was a POW. He came home and couldn't get the debt removed while he was a POW. So that's an example of the Bradley Amendment, and they won't repeal it. So that's something that needs to be repealed. So that amendment is one of the main reasons why child support debt is so extremely high. And it appears that the agencies are not enforcing these orders or punishing parents who fail to pay. But why parents seem to never, and why it seems that parents can never pay that debt off or down is because they're not paying it off or down. That interest keeps on going and going. And when you start off in arrears to the tune of $10,000 or $15,000 from day one, then you're always going to be behind. Which leads to my one final topic. And that's specifically the fact that politicians never talk about child support debt. Oh no, I'll make a different video for that. This is the report that the feds just came out with. And that's the discrepancy in the current debt and arrears and the damage it causes for parents and children. So according to the feds, and this is it was in August, September, the total support arrears certified by the state submitted to the feds totaled again $111.7 billion. And the average amount owed per case with arrears was over $17,000. So just imagine 17 grand on these cases for this debt. And this is what they keep pushing when you go and look at organizations that do not support shared parenting, that do not support child support reform, that push for harder punishments, more restrictions that are in love with this program, it's the 17,000 per case that they focus on, but they don't focus on the reason behind the debt being this high. So it's significant because roughly 70% of these arrears were initially submitted to the feds more than 10 years ago. That's old debt. As I discussed earlier, these large amounts of arrears contrast sharply with the average amount of current support owed per case. The average amount of current support owed during the same period was only $241 per month. So you have 17,000 per month versus 241 because of this fake ass debt with this fake ass system. And it's a trap in more ways than one. They trap you in the system and you're always in debt. And it's a trap. Like if you go and you're in this system and it's let me just continue. And when you have organizations like this one that I'm discussing, that the reason why I made this, bringing up arrears amounts in the hundreds of billions without discussing the age of the arrears and the causes of the high arrears, the information is being falsely presented to the public. But it's not the fault of this organization, it's the government's fault, because they are pushing this bullshit, and they've been pushing this bullshit for decades. And we believed it with no problem because we didn't know. That's the trap. Like the trap, you go and you think you go over there and you think the first couple times is what's up. It's good. I'm gonna get this couple dollars, take care of the kids and everything like that. Well, after you get in there a couple times, you realize, oh shit, this is not the right thing. The money's funny, or it ain't hitting the way it's supposed to hit. Now you back all the time chasing that one. Child support it's a trap. It's the trap. So they've been pushing this shit for decades. And since the child support hustle has been exposed, and I'm gonna take a little bit of credit, not all of it, but exposing this, and the truth is out, they have to explain where this money, why this money, they have to put kind of, an explanation to this stuff, like why this debt is so old and why is it 17,000 versus 241,000, because people like myself and others are making videos and writing and talking about this issue. Why are y'all on these people's neck? Why are y'all on non-custodial parents' neck about old ass uncollectible debt? Why are you locking people up? Why are you suspending people's license on debt that you're claiming is going back to the government to recover welfare payments that they didn't sign up for? So the feds state that the large arrears balances give the impression that, so now they're concerned about them. Now they're covering their ass. State child support programs are not doing their job, a perception that is not always accurate, because now people are asking questions. High arrears are often interpreted by the public as a sign of agency incompetence and a failure to serve custodial parents and children. And they add is much more complicated than that. So they're saying that collecting and all that kind of stuff is much more complicated than what the public perceives, because this debt is so high versus the current collections. No, it's not more complicated. It's that y'all been fucking people around for 30 damn years. And y'all been locking people up and charging all this damn money on a fake debt from the first place. So it's not complicated. Y'all just been robbing people. Y'all been robbing people. Y'all's trap is bullshit. So it's not complicated. The entire concept of family providing for our children and the child support system is much more complicated than what the government is portrayed to the public. Like I said, is nonsense. They put out there, you pay or you're a deadbeat. That's what they say. That's what they've been pushing. But on our end, it's much more complicated, because we are telling people, no, if you go and apply for welfare, you have to sue the other parent for child support. When you get that order, they have to repay a grant. Like it's all contract, and then the parent didn't even sign a contract to say they would repay. So it's complicated on our end, but on their end, it's not. They just been robbing people. That sounds like some criminal shit, and it is. Like I said, it's an attempt to cover their ass. In this memorandum, the feds explain why the debt is so much higher than the current support. The memorandum explains research examining child support arrears has found that most child support arrears are uncollectible. Why? Because most of the child support debt is owed by parents with low or no income. So they have low income, poor custodial parents sue our low income or poor other parents, and they charge them, start off the gate, $10,000 in arrears. So guess what? They're not going to collect it. They don't have $10,000, $20,000 laying around. So of course it's uncollectible. Then they impute the income to outrageous child support amounts that they can't afford to pay. So of course it's uncollectible. Secondly, the arrears are old. The feds that said that 88% of the arrears that were certified as of January 2021 had been initially submitted to the agency more than 5 years ago, and almost 30% were submitted more than 20 years ago. That's how old this 111 billion, 30% of that debt is 20 years old. So parents are still being punished, meaning their licenses are suspended. The passport is revoked. They can't leave this country because of 20-year-old fake ass debt. License suspended, whatever they want to do, because they have that power over this old ass debt. And if it's 20 years old, that means their children are fucking grown. So this is what the feds are saying. Oh, yeah, it's old. So now they telling us what we are. Well, oh, this puppy, y'all. So that means that the debt that the organizations like the one I'm talking about and others complain about, these hundreds of billions in arrears owed, but they're ignoring that some of this debt is owed for children who are at least 20 years old, and the government for money, owed to the government for these grown kids, like 50 cents, son. Even though this is not a welfare case, but that's a grown man. And he complained about some money that, go get a job. Just like the government, you complain about money for these grown kids that's not yours. So it's kind of the same situation. What are you waiting for? They're waiting for whatever, but that's not your money. It's not your money. So how many custodial parents are aware that the $50,000 that they think is going to come to them, and you see it online all the time? He owed me $20,000. He owes me $30,000. And I used to ask, like, is it owed? I mean, do you have a welfare case, or is it owed directly to you? Hold on, guys. I gotta let my puppy out. Sorry about that. Puppies come first. So I would ask, is that owed to, hey, MM, is that owed to you or no? I'm sorry, I lost my, train of thought. Is that owed to you, or were you receiving public assistance? And a lot of times the young ladies, the moms will say, you know, yeah, I received Medicaid or something like that. And I had to break the news to them. Like, you're not getting that money, girl. That is not your money. So they had to go and check, you know, check and see what I was talking about. Hey, check it out. Because I thought it was owed to me too. When I fought for 8 years to get my child support case closed, before I knew, I thought the 30-something grand was coming to me too. So that's something like we got to educate ourselves, because so many moms think they got to come up as soon as whatever they're going to be coming up. You know, no, the government's going to be coming up, and that's why they fight so hard to enforce those cases that are welfare cases, because that's their money. Private cases, they don't care because it's not their money. So as you can see, let me see, as many who have caught up in the child support hustle have experienced, there's no silent crisis. This shit is everywhere. They talk about child support every day. You can't open up social media. You can't talk about nothing without child support being discussed. It's everywhere. So there's no silence involved. The politicians are talking about it. They're trying to pass the Unborn Child Act, and it's everywhere. So to say that this debt is not being talked about, or the system is not being talked about, there's people being arrested all the time. There's people doing time. I talk to people that are in jail or just getting out of jail, and they say, you have no idea how many people was in jail when they was in the county, with people in there for child support. They're not supposed to do that. So that's what we need to be talking to politicians about. And I'll say this, and I'm gonna keep saying it, like I'm not even into the politics no more. Y'all know what I say, right wing, left wing, same bird. Like I don't get into it. But if you are into it, elect people that are going to vote about family court reform, child support reform, shared parenting. That's what you need to put people in office that are going to change this shit, because they are talking about it like it's being talked about everywhere. Make them change the law. Y'all, me and this daggone puppy. My son went and got this daggone puppy, and when I say he is spoiled, and I've been out of town. I don't know if y'all been watching my videos, but I've been in Jamaica. So I come back and he even more spoiled than when I left y'all. So I'm gonna leave him out there just for a second because he's running in and running out. So a large portion of child support debt is owed and uncollectible. Just like old credit card, hospital bills, it should be erased like after a certain number of years. But it should happen even quicker, or not at all. Like it shouldn't even be there, because Title 4D is not contractual. Most parents do not sign a contract saying I will pay back welfare. We know welfare is a grant. It's not a loan, because if it were a loan, they would go after the custodial parent to repay that money. They don't, because it's a grant. The more that people understand about the child support program, the trap, the more people realize that the government is the true beneficiary and not the children, not the parents. We are collateral damage. They are, you know, whatever happens to us is just what happens to us. That's it. As long as they're getting their money, we are the hell with us and to hell with our children. If you look at the poverty rates, especially Mississippi, if y'all are watching from Mississippi, y'all need to, and matter of fact, everybody, let's just boycott. Let's just protest. Never mind, guys. Y'all know I'll get caught back up, but I'm retired. Let me see. So thank y'all for joining me. That's my video. Definitely go and please check out my website. Y'all know the childsupporthustle.com. I know a couple of people have hit me up and asked if I would come and do an interview. And right now, I'm still writing my book, working on a couple of things. So my time is really limited. So I'm not really doing interviews, but in the next next few months, maybe. So I'm not ignoring you or anything like that. It's just right now is not an opportune time for me. But I appreciate the invitation. If I don't respond to your email, trust me, it's getting put somewhere. Your email is getting sent to. Just check back with me in a few months, please. I appreciate you. If you're hitting me up, asking me questions about do I work on individual cases anymore? No, I do not. My apologies. You can check out my website, thechildsupporthustle.com. Check the search button. I did some like touching up to it, so hopefully it works for you. Check the search button. The search thing, and look for whatever issue you have. I've probably written about it. You can get my book, The Child Support Hustle. At my website, it has a bunch of information in here about the child support system. Just it's not about my situation. I have interviews that I've done in the past that I talk about my situation. But yeah, that's online. I think that's it. And thank you guys for Divorce Court is a great documentary with the divorce system. My advocacy is more on the unmarried parents and with Title 4D, the welfare system, and how the child support system, the welfare recovery part of it. So, and then there's another documentary that's really good, Erasing Family by Ginger Gentile. That's a really good documentary about parental alienation and family alienation. If anybody's traveling to Jamaica, there's a great tour company, Howard's Fun Tour. I have a video here in my content if y'all want to check it out. Great tour company, competitive pricing, and he'll take good care of you. His name is Colin. And if you tell him I sent you, get a red stripe on me. So that's it. That's all. Tune in. Make sure y'all know these are on. Hey, Eddie. Hey, MMR. We got Eddie, Adam. Thank y'all for joining me. Don't forget, subscribe, tell your friends, and tell a friend. Yeah. And y'all know I'm talking about how welfare did not destroy the Black family. I know plenty of Black families. I'm part of one or two or three. And we are not destroyed. We are here and thriving, just like every other family. So that's my new book. That's what I'm working on. And salute to you too, sir. I appreciate you. So yeah, make sure y'all notifications are on so y'all can join me, because I talk that shit. I'm gonna give y'all the real, and I'm gonna give y'all the facts referenced, and y'all know y'all can go look it up because I put all the links in the description. So bye, and always fight the power. Have a good night, y'all.